Welcome to FitBody Lifestyle, the show where we dive deep into the world of fitness, health, business, relationships, and the art of living a balanced life. I'm Jamie.
And I'm Greg, and we're here to give you the benefit of our experiences in the fitness and bodybuilding industry, the corporate world, running a business, personal development, and building healthy relationships.
Whether you're sweating it out in the gym, hustling in your business, or seeking balance in your everyday life, you're in the right place.
So lace up those sneakers and grab that water bottle, and let's get ready to transform our minds, our bodies, and our lives.
Welcome back to another episode of FitBody Lifestyle. We're so happy to have you here with us today. I, of course, am here with my partner in crime, Papa Bear, a.k.a. Greg DeBernard.
Just call me Pick.
Pick. All right. And we have a lovely guest today with us, IFBB Pro and Dr. Christine Brandl. We're so happy to have you here. Thank you for coming. First, though, what is your check-in word for the day?
I'm going to say overwhelmed.
I love it. I love it. We'll see where we are by the end of the episode.
Hopefully we'll change that throughout
Yes, sir.
Yes. So, Greg, do you want to start us out?
Well, Christine, start us out with just start everybody else out there with just a little thumbnail sketch of who you are and just a little background information. Then we're going to dive in. We're going to take it all the way back.
Well, I'm born and raised in El Paso, Texas. I am 55 years old. My journey began, I guess, when I was about the age of 6, when my mother got into aerobic dance. And she figured if she could teach a 6-year-old how to do it, she could teach her class.
That's
great.
That's
where my love of working out came out. And then when I was about 14 years old, I picked up a weight bar my dad had, filled 2 milk jugs up with sand, started running up and down the street. And that's when I started, quote, lifting. And my father was the UTEP volleyball coach at the time. And one of the guys there found out what I was doing. And so he invited me and he started training me. And I started lifting from that point on, playing volleyball, went to UTEP and played volleyball. Actually didn't compete.
And Christine, let me do it this way because you're getting into a lot of good detail,
Okay.
and I want to get into that.
Well, you're going to
I was more like saying, yeah, you're Dr. Christine Brandl, you're an OBGYN, you're an IFBB Bikini Pro, that kind of stuff. Okay, just the top lines.
Why don't you just start?
I guess we just might as well do that. Yeah. So let's dig in. So let's start out with that. So I think you said you were 15 years old when you first.
Well, no, she said she was.
Well, your mom was into aerobics, right?
I started lifting at about 13, 14. In my first competition, I did one in high school as a dare when I was 16. And I actually won all the divisions.
Wow.
And at that time, that was big bodybuilding at my little age. So no heels, the suit of the big girls.
Yeah, there was no other divisions for women. There was just women's bodybuilding.
Yeah,
right?
and I weighed 119 pounds, so I was heavyweight.
So you and Jamie have that in common.
Totally. When you're telling your story, I could relate so much.
Do you know
We're
about
the same
her background?
age, and it was very similar. I was a teenager when I started as well. So.
And you were going, and was this in El Paso?
This is in El Paso, one of the local high schools.
Well, and Jamie did it in Louisiana, and it was powerlifting, and so she ended up competing against the boys.
Because there weren't enough.
Yes, I trained with boys. Yes, I did.
All right. And so what was that? Was it a powerlifting contest, or was it something
bodybuilding.
else?
That's what she's saying.
Well, it was bodybuilding.
Well, it started with just lifting.
Okay.
And then it was a dare.
Okay.
And I was dating one of the football players. And so the football coaches allowed me to go into the gym. So part of the freshman football team was you had to beat me.
Okay.
Nice.
Oh, wow. So you were the gateway for people to get on the
freshman
football
team.
Right.
And it was back in the day when it wasn't, I was weird, different, because I was lifting weights. But I loved it. I loved the feeling of it. I loved the high I got from it. And I had a longer goal, future goal that I really wanted to play for my father as a UTEP volleyball player.
On the football team?
Yeah, I wish. No, he's a volleyball coach.
Okay.
So
on the football team?
Yeah.
Since you were the
Football
gateway,
and volleyball
they both have ball in them.
Yes.
But since you were the gateway to get on the football team, I thought, well, hey, that would have been really groundbreaking at that time.
Yes.
It'd be groundbreaking today. So go back a little. I heard you say something about your mom doing aerobics.
Yes.
Okay.
So my mom's always been into fitness. And from as far back as I can remember, she would use furniture as weights. So she used ottomans. Always creative about what she would do. Her feet under the cabinets doing sit-ups. And then she got into the exercise, and she did it for as long as I can remember until she got into older age.
Wow.
That is so cool, because I feel like at that time that was really way ahead of her time.
Yes.
I remember having the what's her name? The did the aerobics. Jane Fonda.
Oh yeah, we watched her shows.
Yes.
And Richard Simmons and
Oh yes.
Jacqueline and all those people.
Yes.
Is it how much of a, well, there was two thoughts I had. One is that how much advanced that was, because during COVID, I think, well, Jamie has some videos of her using
The laundry detergent.
to
As a
work
kettlebell.
out on and stuff. But the other part is that how much of a role did that play in inspiring you to then pursue fitness or want physical fitness?
Absolutely, 100%. Because
Yeah.
I saw both my parents. My dad was a coach, so the girls would come over and I'd watch them weight train and run, and my mom was working out. So I thought everybody's family did that. So for me, it was just a normal progression. Yeah, until I went to school and people looked at me like I was weird.
Were you buff at that point, or were you?
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure compared to your cohorts.
Actually, I've got a picture of my back when I'm 16. It looks the same as it does right now.
Wow.
That's
So
amazing.
both my parents are very fit.
And beyond, so you what about siblings? You have
I have a brother, but he's autistic and has some learning issues. So he sort of just does his thing.
Yeah.
But he's not. I mean, but it's interesting. When he was a kid, he decided to run a marathon, and he did.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
So he's got the same genetics.
Well, plus he has the same influence. I mean,
Right,
I
absolutely.
think beyond the genetics, there's an aspect of this that is about what's the nature versus nurture argument, right? And when you grow up in that and you think it's normal, and I think for Jamie, I don't know that it was part of her parents per se, but I do think that.
But my mom was the one, she decided to join the gym, and so she brought me with her. So it was very similar in that way too.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes.
So we get to high school then, and did we eventually make the volleyball team, or?
I did.
Okay.
I made the freshman team, and then I trained hard, and I trained and at nights and the evenings with people at UTEP. And then my dad offered me a scholarship, and then I got a scholarship from the Naval Academy and from NMSU. But I really wanted to play for my father. We have a very unique relationship, and that was my dream, to play for my dad.
And did you?
I did, 4
Okay,
years.
at UTEP?
At UTEP.
All right. And that's University of Texas El Paso, for people who don't know about UTEP. I grew up and went to the University of Utah, and so UTEP was in the WAC at that time. So I remember, I know UTEP very well. The UTEP Miners, I think, isn't it?
UTEP Miners.
Yeah.
And then I was inducted into the Hall of Fame
Wow.
last year when I was at North Americans getting my pro card. And I couldn't be there, so I had some people stand in for me.
Wow.
So I'm the second volleyball player to be inducted into the UTEP Hall.
Amazing. Well, what a day. So you got inducted into the Hall of Fame and earned your IFBB
Yes,
Pro Card
yes.
on the same day.
Yes.
That was a good day.
Yes, it was a good day.
So talk about volleyball a little bit. And were you, because I know I know you all rotate through positions at some point, right? Or there's set positions that you take?
Well, you have to go back before rapid scoring, before the libero, when we had a serving box, 'cause you had to stay in a corner. It was just a very different sport. You only had 6 substitutions. I'm only 5'5". So my dad trained me to be a smart setter, even though I'm not tall. He converted me to a left-handed person so that I could attack at the net with my left hand or my right hand. I also was introduced to a gentleman who's coaching at the U.S. Olympic team who did a version of what the Japanese did for setting, where they would spin off of one leg. So I'd constantly be in motion, so it'd be more difficult for players to read my body language because it was always in motion. And he came up with a defense, making sure that every person who hit against me went over me. So we knew exactly where the ball was going. So my middle blockers would always just force the ball over me. And my goal was to have them beat me up. And we just made the defense knowing that that's what they were going to do.
So were you in the middle of the court then on the?
Actually, I played right side.
Okay. And so the setter is the one who puts the ball up for the spikers to then hit
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And most of the time they are the leader of the team because
Yeah.
they run the offense.
Yeah, because you have to arrange the other players based on what you're seeing and I
Right.
guess what you're seeing, right?
Right, and then you also have to read the blockers on the other team to know when they take a step slow to isolate your players one-on-one with their blocker. If you can get them one-on-one, you've met your goal.
So the question then I would ask is this is, and Jamie, I think can relate to this part of it because she worked for her father and later in life. Did you ever work for him as an assistant coach? Or?
No, I did not.
Okay. Well, but I imagine though, or I don't imagine, let's ask, the question is, Was there a please dad or work harder than everybody else because dad's
Absolutely.
the coach? Okay. So how did that play
We have
out?
more in common than I do.
It was never, I knew when I played for my father that I could not be his reason for getting into trouble. So I think that pressure I put on myself, that I would never, never late to practice, did exactly what he asked me to do. I had to learn how to not throw my sweatshirt at him and go, here, Dad, catch. I couldn't do that because the other players couldn't do that. So I really had to, when we entered that courtroom, we had to be very mindful. I mean, the court.
Courtroom's okay. That's my area. Yeah.
Yeah, more mindful that his coaching hat went on and my player hat went on. And we couldn't take those hats off till we walked out of the gym.
Did that make it harder, easier, or it was just what you did?
It's just what I've done all my
Okay.
life is that, I mean, having a brother that's handicapped with special needs, I always had to be that child that wouldn't give my parents trouble. So this was just, again, I thought this was all natural. Just being, making sure that I took care of my stuff and people didn't have to worry about me. Because so my parents could focus on the things that needed time at that point.
So as you reflect on that now,
Yeah.
going backwards, was it a conscious decision that you made, or was it just something that you just did because it was what was expected?
My parents said that's just how I was wired.
That's wild. I mean, I think that's so admirable, Christine, that you stepped up in that way as a child, as a teenager, and then as a young adult. That's incredible. That definitely is informing where we're going to end with this story, or where we're going to travel to with this story. But the other part of the question I have is, did your dad ever say anything to you about what he expected, or was it just something that you were performing so he never had to?
I can remember one conversation that we had where I was having a bad day. And I said, you know what, maybe I should just quit. And I remember him looking at me and he said, that's not what we do here. We finish what we start. Now, at the end, if you want to walk away, Christine. But just because you had a bad day, pull up your bootstraps. Do what you got to do. You're the leader of this team. If they don't have you, they don't have anybody. Stand up and do your job. That's the only conversation I ever remembered I actually paid for him for 5 years because the freshman year we had to prove our grades.
Yeah.
You couldn't play for my father unless you had grades. So we sat out our first year to get grades, and if you made the grades, then he honored the 4-year scholarship.
Wow.
Wow.
And so, you said you have a special relationship with your father. Clearly you do.
I do.
And that's evident in what you're saying. But how did that form? Was that for your entire life, or did that come about? Or
So when I was growing up, my dad traveled a lot because of the volleyball team. So I was very close to my mom and helping with my brother. And I didn't really know my dad. It's when I started playing volleyball that I became that daughter, that son, that somebody he could relate to. Because my dad's a very private man. And he was raised as an only child, and he played basketball in the slums of New Jersey. He actually played for Lehigh University, was the 11th scorer in the NC2A, and actually was recruited in the NBA,
wow.
and then got drafted into Vietnam. That's why he never played.
Wow.
So for him, I guess my mom would always say, well, he doesn't have anybody to relate with. And then when I started playing volleyball, we connected. The way he thinks, the way we thought about the sport, the way we looked at life. I didn't realize that he was my mini-me.
Wow.
Or I was his mini-me.
Wow. How did he make that transition? I know this is kind of a side road, but how did he make that transition from basketball to volleyball?
When he came to Fort Bliss. That's how we got to El Paso. When he got drafted, they stationed him at Fort Bliss. And one of his coaches from the East Coast was there and recognized him. So he played on the Army basketball team. And then when that was over, they asked him to play volleyball. And he said he wouldn't do it because that's not a man's sport at the time. And then he said, well, then you're going to have to leave the U.S. and go to, I don't know where they were going to station him, but he was going to have to go fight the war, I guess. And so he said, okay, where's the ball? And he learned to play, and he was alternate to the U.S. Olympic team within a
Wow.
couple of years. And then he went on to become the UTEP volleyball coach as a part-time job.
Wow. Wow. That's huge.
Yeah.
Is he still with us?
Yeah, he's
Okay.
84 years old. He still coaches on the side. He is UTEP's second most winningest coach at the university, and he was there for about 19 years, 20 years.
Wow.
What an incredible
Wow.
story.
100% graduation rate.
How often do you talk to him?
I see him every day.
Do you?
Yeah, they they're very active in our lives. When I got divorced, my parents stepped up and became my kids, helped me out with the kids and became their second parent. So we see them every day. We have dinners every Sunday with the family, with my kids and their significant others.
Wow. That culture and that close-knit family unit, that's very inspiring. What a gift. So let's go to the next jump, which is so we go through college.
Okay.
And you graduated.
I did.
And what did you study in undergrad?
Biology.
Okay.
Yeah, I was wondering, did you already know that you wanted to become a doctor?
No, I was going to be a volleyball coach like my dad.
So how did that shift?
The God honest truth is arrogance. I graduated #1 out of biology. And I was on that mental game that my identity was my grades. So, man, I made A's in everything. And so I said, you know what? I'm good at biology. I could be a doctor. So I talked to some people about it. I hadn't even taken the prerequisites. I had just enrolled in them, but I had to take the test, the MCAT. And the guy said, the people I talked to said, hey, just apply. You don't have to worry about it if you don't get in. So I won't get in. I haven't finished the prerequisites. Well, I ended up passing the MCAT adequate enough. I got into 2 or 3 different medical schools. And then I had to make the hard decision whether to go or not go. And then between my parents and my grandmother, they said, we'll get you through free. You want to go? You want to get education? Go. So I went. I have never been more humbled in my entire life. I was miserable. I hated it because I was doing it for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And again, that conversation came up with my dad. I want to leave, Dad. And he said, we finish what we start. He said, just finish the year out. And if you decide you can't finish, because this is my first year, finish that year out. And if you can't finish it, then we can walk away. But you must finish that first year, Christine. That's what we do here. And I'm glad I did, because here I am today, and I love my job.
So at the end of that year, what made you decide to stay in?
We started doing clinicals.
Then you started to enjoy it more.
Yeah, then I started to realize why I was here. So like I tell people, I didn't go to medical school for the right reasons, but God led me in the right path, because how I got from where I was to being an OBGYN, it didn't make sense to me because I was doing it for all the wrong reasons.
And where did you do med school?
Texas Tech in Lubbock.
Okay. How was that being, because you had grown up and spent your entire life in El Paso, and then you go to Lubbock
by myself.
By yourself.
So I cried for the first 6 months, but got through the year. Grateful I did it. I grew a lot in who I was as a person. And then what was interesting, the program allowed me to go back to El Paso for the 3rd and 4th year. So I went back to El Paso, but my parents helped me get my own apartment to maintain that maturity instead of moving back home. And so I stayed in my own place, and then finished out my 3rd and 4th year, and then I graduated and actually married my first husband.
And did you then start your residency there in
No,
El Paso?
I went to Dallas.
Okay.
I went to Baylor University in Dallas.
How did you end up choosing your specialty?
Or did it choose you?
It chose me. So it was my last rotation in the clinical field, and I hated everything. I mean, general surgery, the doctors were mean to me. Pediatrics, the babies always cried. Internal medicine, everybody died. And so I just couldn't find my place. And then I did my OB rotation. And that first night because B's pretty high up in the alphabet, I got on call first. So Brandl was on call, and I delivered my first kid. I called to my parents and I said, done.
Figured it out.
Done.
So,
Absolutely fits everything about me.
So the only incongruity in that is that you said in pediatrics all the kids cry. Well, aren't they crying when they come out? I mean, isn't that the whole purpose?
They do, but
it's that brush of I've just delivered a life.
I did bring in life. I think I cried more than anybody else did the first year I did this. But just the fact I love the fact that it was challenging mentally, physically. It took my athleticism, my brain, my hyperactivity, everything kind of came together. And I enjoyed bringing that part to someone's family, being a part of that life it's an honor to help these people because they could choose anybody. And they're choosing to put their child's life in my hands, their life in my hands.
Yeah.
So that's a huge responsibility, but I loved it. I loved being that leader. And I think that all comes back to how my parents raised me, becoming a setter. My mom taught me how to teach when she was teaching me. She just didn't know it.
Well, and you're catching the baby like a ball.
Yeah, I love it.
You're just not spiking it.
Yeah,
You're just not spiking it. No spikes.
No.
You're setting it maybe, but just not spiking it. So how many babies have you delivered to date?
Oh my goodness. we're thinking 3,000-4,000.
Wow.
Wow.
I do 20 to 30 a month.
Wow.
And I've been doing it El Paso for 25 years.
Wow.
And then residency 4 years.
Wow. That's incredible. So you've impacted all of these lives
Yeah,
in that way.
my daughter tells me we all shop at Target because we go to Target and everybody's like, "Oh, Dr. Brandl, here's the kid."
Wait, don't they call it Target?
El Target.
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 You added the edit on that. I like
Target.
So you married your first husband.
Yep.
And then at some point we have kids.
We had kids when I was 31 and 33.
Okay. And if you would, enrich us a little bit in the sacrifices that you have to make as a practicing physician, going through your own pregnancy. 2 kids?
2 kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
Both girls?
Boy, girl.
Boy, girl. Okay. Same as, man, you guys are like twin sisters
Seriously.
of different mothers. I mean, it's wild.
My sister from another mother.
That's what it is.
And they're pretty
it's-
close together. Like
the parallels between your lives are just, I'm sitting here thinking, God, what?
It is interesting, yes.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, honey, if I'm talking, so talk. But and now I forgot my question.
You were going to ask about the kids?
Yeah.
And
sacrifices.
balancing.
Yeah, because I know that your current husband was in
Yes.
the Air Force,
Yes.
and we were just talking, and he said he was at Luke Air Force Base, and I'll never forget this moment where we were touring Luke Air Force Base, and they were showing us the F-35 fighters, and all the people that were touring us were male. And I asked the colonel that was escorting us, I said, where are all the female pilots? Are there any? And he said, we do have a few. And he said, it's different for them. And not because there's anything physical or, technical that they can't handle, but if they want to have a child, the moment they get pregnant, they're pulled off the flight line. And so they lose about a year or more in their flight rotation. And that culminates in hours lost, progression, rank, and everything, because everything as a pilot is about progressing in that fashion of getting flight hours and being able to progress in terms of the number of flights that you get. And I thought, wow, man. And I had the fortune of being able to meet a number of military officers, female, and talk to them about this. And I mean, there was a space shuttle pilot, and I'm trying to remember her name, but she was on the board of directors of the company that I work for. And she and I had a real heart-to-heart conversation about the choices and the sacrifices that you have to make. And so that's a long way of asking you that question of how did you integrate that, manage it?
The same way as I was raised. This is a choice that you made. Don't take it out on other people. So I'd be a little bit more tired than everybody else. It'd take me a little bit longer, but I made sure I took all of my call before I went on maternity leave. I would take extra calls from people. So we had the same call numbers by the time the year was out. I maintained all my surgical numbers. Unfortunately, my maternity leave was only 4 weeks. But I didn't want to leave a bad impression for moms coming behind me. So I made sure that I did exactly what they asked me to do. And I took all my vacation time. I saved it. And so I just had my 1 month. I actually had my daughter when I was already a full-blown OB. So I had my son in residency and my daughter when I was already working. And like you asked me, did you think about it? Was a conscious effort? No. I mean, it was
just what you did.
Just what we did. And the big thing I learned was that when I came home, you got 10 minutes to bitch about work, and then you're done. Let's go on with our lives.
Interested in changing your life or stepping on stage? Join FitBody Fusion today.
Experience the FitBody Fusion difference with tools, knowledge, and community support to reach your healthy and sustainable lifestyle.
We guide thousands on their fitness journeys, from seasoned athletes to those who are simply seeking a healthier life.
Our expert coaches provide personalized plans and unwavering support, empowering you to thrive.
FitBody Fusion is more than just training. It's a community. We understand the challenges of solo fitness journeys, which is why we foster a supportive environment where members encourage and motivate each other.
Join the FitBody Fusion community today and unlock your full potential.
Head to fitbodyfusion.com to sign up for a free consultation.
And do it today. And clear. You said earlier that you guys still have Sunday dinner
We
and
do.
with your kids
Yes.
and their significant others, and it tells me that whatever you did, and I'm sure there were I'm sure there were sacrifices, and
No,
I'm sure there were things that you missed and events that you missed.
You'd be
And
surprised I didn't.
oh, really? Okay.
I volunteer coached my daughter's team for 9 years. I did
Wow.
all the volunteer work for my son when he played basketball. I just was very lucky, very blessed that we were able to pull this off. And my kids remember, if you ask them when they were younger, I would take them with me. I'd just say, I could scream at the hallway, stat C-section. And they would get their little bags and they'd run and get in the car and buckle themselves in and we would go.
Oh, wow.
And people would tell,
That's
and
so
that was
cute.
back in the day where the nurses would take them into the room. I mean, now we can't, but back in the day I could. And they would give them a juice box and take care of them while I did the delivery and then we'd go home. And people said that, well, that's going to hurt your children's sleep cycles. They did fine. My kids get up at 6 in the morning. I don't have to wake them up. They're very self-motivated. I've never had
Wonder why.
issues. Yeah. Acorn doesn't fall far from the tree.
Well, I'm
That's
sure
what I
that's
said.
what I was thinking. I'm sure them watching, how you worked and just how you carried yourself and prioritize things. I think kids learn more from what they see than what we tell them in a lot of cases.
And my mom has always been, my parents have been huge advocates in just taking care of me and family. So my mom to this day does my wash. She wants to do something to help me. And so,
And I'm not complaining about. You're not
I
complaining
need
about
to
that.
get my mom on the phone. Like, hey, mom,
You
you're
need to step
slacking.
up. Yeah.
well, she actually, when I got divorced, she became my maid. She would clean the house, make sure the kids got food done. They worked really hard to make sure that my kids did not suffer or have any ill effects because of the divorce. And I think they came out okay. I mean, we did counseling for a long time.
Okay, so will you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So one of the issues we had with our marriage is that there's two different cultures. My ex-husband's traditional Hispanic, and I'm more of Americana. And as the kids got older, we really started to really have differences in how they should be disciplined, how they should be raised. Both of my kids are artists, so that wasn't highly looked upon because he can't make money. And it ended up being a group effort between my kids and I that we decided that we needed to walk away. And at that point, I went to counseling first for myself.
Can I pause you just
Yeah.
a second? So at that point where it sounded like you were nurturing their talent in terms of what they want.
Follow
And there
your
was,
passion.
Yeah, and there was a disagreement, and this is funny because we talk about this all the time
Yes.
because I think in our child
the tree
rearing,
you got.
yeah, we were really working hard to not push, but direct or guide, nudge them into areas that not into specific areas, but
Right.
we weren't doing something that we got this book and the title was Grow the Tree You Got.
Yeah.
And at the point where we kind of embraced that, we backed away and what are your interests? How do we encourage, how do we nurture you? You're clearly more advanced than we were because it sounds like you adopted that. And that's really wonderful. I want to call that out because I think so often parents want to resist what their children's interests are because you think that it's not going to be productive instead of nurturing that passion and recognizing that will ultimately lead them to the happy place that they
Right.
need to be.
Right, and it's not my happiness.
Right.
It's their happiness. It's their one chance at life, and I can't take that from them. Nor can I think it's selfish of me to tell them what to be. But my father never introduced volleyball to me because he never wanted me to play because he was a coach. And it was his friend, who ironically has the same disease I have. His friend said, hey, can you bring Christine to hang out with Becky at this camp that we're doing? He's like, sure, I'll bring Christine along. And then when I got there, I said, hey, Dad, can I play? Can I join? But my father did not introduce me to volleyball.
What's the friend's name?
Her name was Becky.
Okay. No, your father's
Mike Hebert.
Mike. Okay.
Yeah, he's very well known in the volleyball community.
And he was the one who ultimately kind of nudged your dad, and your dad then.
Well, it was basically just come babysit my
For your
daughter.
friend. It was for the friend.
Yeah, I was way too young I think I was too young to be in the camp. And it's funny because my dad always says that I came with all my coordinated little clothes and, I sat there. But after the first day, I asked him, I said, could you explain this thing? Because, there's a 5-1 offense and there's a 6-2 offense. And so for me, I'd rather play 6-2 because that's 8 players, whereas a 5-1 is only 6 players. He's like, oh no, let's go get some pizza. Oh no. But so again, it's like I raised my kids to say, my daughter would say, what do I do? What do I do? I said, what do you like to do? I like to draw. So she went to art school.
Wow.
And my son picked up a guitar after the divorce. He said, Mom, can I have a guitar? And I was like, sure. I went to Walmart and bought him a guitar. This is his junior year of high school. He can't read music. He can't play guitar. And then his senior year, he asked if he could have some lessons from the local music shop. So I got him some lessons. And he says, I'm going to apply to UTEP. Well, he doesn't get in because he can't read music. He can't get into the music program. And so the guy that was giving him lessons went to the UTEP program and said, hear this kid play. Just hear him play. Give him an audition. And they actually put together a program for him where he was, for that first
Like
year.
Juilliard.
Yeah.
You're going to audition, and if you can perform, yeah.
So they said, once you learn how to read music, then we'll let you into the program. So he's about a year behind, and he graduated with his first degree. And then his second degree was supposed to be alternate to teaching certificate so he could do the Master's of Teaching. And they canceled the program. So he's finishing up his second bachelor's of music education so he can start his master's degree.
Wow.
So he's got 2 bachelor's degrees and he's going to start his master's degree. But he teaches young kids. He loves it. The happiest kid you'll ever meet. He said, this is my passion. I love it.
Because you tapped into his passion.
Yeah,
and I need to press pause on something here, because you said something that just is in my head about you showed up at basketball camp with all your little coordinating clothes and everything. And I recognize that not everybody is going to see this episode. So if you're not seeing this episode, I really want to describe Christine's or Dr. Brandl's outfit. Because when she walked up,
just go to YouTube.
Or just go to YouTube.
Or Spotify where you can watch, or you could see, because she looks adorable.
And just know this, I will not do it justice, but she's got some black blinged out cowboy boots with her jeans tucked into them, and they are bling. I mean, they got some Swarovski crystals going on, and kind of a what is that, brocade? Is that what they call that?
Sure, embroidered brocade.
And then she's wearing a nice big belt buckle that looked like she just walked out of the rodeo, with a nice engraved belt, and she's wearing her FitBody Fusion crop top, and the abs are looking rocking. And then she's topping it all off with a black cowboy hat with some bling on that and some Swarovski crystals.
Yeah, I'm digging this outfit.
Yeah, I mean, you really do. You can take the girl out of volleyball, but you can't, how do I say it? You can take the fashion out of the girl playing volleyball, but you can't take the volleyball out of the girl playing fashion, because you still have fashion. I don't know if that made any sense, but
no, it does.
Okay.
Well, and it's funny because I wear some of this stuff to work, not my crop top, and people say, why, what? I said, this is me. This is who I am.
And we love that. And that's one of the things that we've come to learn about you over the time that we've known you, which has not been near enough time, but you've always been unapologetically just authentic.
Mm-hmm. We just had an episode about authenticity come back in, and it's very appropriate that we're spending time with you today.
And you found a way to be you.
Yes.
Okay, so we're at the point where you have your son during residency, your daughter after you became board certified. Is that right?
Yeah, board certified.
Okay.
Yes. And then
And was that, at what point after that did you make the decision to separate from your husband, your first husband?
Oh gosh, it was 16 years later.
Wow.
Yeah. So we started dating at 14, got married at 28, and divorced at 46.
Wow.
So we gave it a good try. But one of the things I told my daughter was that I promise you I'll do the work. So I did individual counseling for a while. Then my ex-husband reluctantly agreed to do a couple sessions. And then it was very clear that we're not working together. And that's when the kids and I decided to get divorced. And
can we pause for just, will you say that one more time? The kids and I decided to get divorced.
It was. And people say, one of the criticisms I have is that my children were involved in the divorce. And I said, I understand that and I apologize for that. But I was in such a bad place. It was not a healthy relationship. Even as him as a father to the kids was not a healthy place. And we only had each other because we didn't want to tell everybody what was going on. So my son came to me and said, Mom, I'm not going to make it through high school. We need to go. And I said, let's go talk to Sophia. Let's go see how she's doing. And she was more reluctant, but they would tell me, you're strong, Mom, you can handle this. And I said, I know, but I don't want to anymore. It's time to go. And we all went into counseling together. And that was really enlightening because I learned a lot from doing family counseling over individual and marriage counseling. But they still have a relationship with their dad now. It's strained, but they have one. But I'm so proud of how they came out of it, because it doesn't seem like we have much, what would you call baggage left over from the divorce. And to this day, they do couples counseling, because I told them we set a really bad example for you, and I take full credit for that. But my goal now is to make sure that you guys come out of this with a chance at having a healthy relationship. So both my kids go to individual and couples counseling with their significant others.
Wow.
That's incredible.
And the only reason why I know it is I pay for it, because that was the deal. When they decided to live with their significant others, I said, well, I will support it under one condition only: you go to couples counseling. And they're still doing it. And this is
amazing.
2-3 years now.
That's amazing. I know your check-in word was overwhelmed, but I'll tell you, my check-in word is definitely inspired, and you are filling up the cup. It's actually overflowing. I don't even know if I have any more capacity for inspiration with this,
nice.
but there's a lot of lessons here. You said your son is a music teacher and then pursuing his second bachelor's so he can get into a master's
Master's of
program.
Education.
Okay.
He wants to teach at the college level. That would be his dream job.
Wow. Okay. And daughter is
A graphic designer,
okay.
full-time, volleyball coach, bartends, has a passion for drawing and tattoos.
Okay.
So
She got the volleyball bug.
yeah, she actually played 2 years at UTEP, and then COVID hit, and she decided to walk away.
Setter.
Libero,
Okay. Which is what?
a back row specialist for
Okay.
short people, did not exist when I played.
Okay. So are they the ones that are digging the spikes?
Yes.
Is that okay?
She's only 5'4".
I know a little bit of the lingo, and I will tell you, every Olympics I watch the volleyball, and it's so fast.
I love it.
And it's quite violent, and not in a physical sense, but just in how fast it moves.
Yes.
And I mean, I got into this maybe 20 years ago, starting watching beach volleyball,
Yes,
and just
Karch
loved that. Our Karch Cry, exactly.
Yes.
That's who I watched growing up,
Yes.
and I remember watching that Missy and Summer, the
Yes.
two they won like 3 Olympics or
Yes,
something,
yes, yes.
and got really into the sport. Anyways, for those, I'm geeking out a little bit because I don't know if I'm a closet volleyball fan. I love volleyball.
I love the sport.
You love all sports.
I do, but volleyball's got a special place with me. And our son played water polo, which is not the same, but there's a violence to that
Yes.
that I just kind of always admired. But
Hidden violence underneath the water.
Well, my father played water polo when he was
did he really?
when he was in the Army.
Wow.
Triple jumped for the track team, played water,
so he just did everything.
everything.
Wow, that's
Phenomenal
amazing.
athlete.
Well, and clearly passed on those genes well.
No,
to you.
he's much better than I was.
I don't know, Christine. We haven't even gotten into the next phase of
Yes.
this, but okay. So let's at the last part of this episode. I think what I'd like to do. Well, I don't know. Do you have other stuff that you want to follow up?
Go
on?
for it.
Okay. I think what I'd like to do is let's talk about, because you already said it. You let the cat out of the bag on the disease. So
Yes.
and I know that this doesn't define you. It's
Right.
it's
Does not.
part, but it is part of you.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about let's talk about what it is and get into the diagnosis, and then
And then we'll dig in more
yeah,
in the next
we'll dig
episode.
in, yeah.
So I was started having tremors about 6 years ago. They were very obvious. Didn't really do anything about it because it didn't affect my daily life. When I started bodybuilding and I joined FitBody Fusion and started working with Anne, she says, "You got a tremor?" And I said, "I do, but it only shows up every once in a while." And so we could manage it the first year. Then the second year, it got really bad. And then this year she said, "Christine, we have to do something now because it is bothersome. It's distracting on the stage." And she feels bad about it, but she saved my life because she made that comment, I asked my OBGYN to send me to a neurologist. And when I walked in, she ran me through the tests and said, "You have Parkinson's disease." And that was right before I got on stage at Universe.
In 2024.
24.
Yeah. So now 2 years ago, almost coming up on the 2-year anniversary.
No, 1 year.
1 year. Oh, so 2025 then.
No, we're in 2025 now.
Oh, that's for God.
Yeah.
Duh.
1 year.
We'll bring them up into the current
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So 1 year ago.
Okay. Wow. That's and I do remember us learning about that.
Yes.
And the tremors on stage. Describe. Was it only on stage or was it happening? Okay.
It happened all the time. I mean, Matt would notice them at night when I would sleep. I also have really bad restless leg syndrome that I did not know was part of the disease, but that's the abnormal movement of my legs at night. He says I thrash around pretty good at night. It didn't still has not affected my ability to operate, but I can no longer do cursive. I have what's called micrographia, so I write really small. Still can print pretty good. But it affects motor movement, but also all my autonomic nervous system. So I've got multiple problems that I have to deal with every day.
So for those people who don't know what Parkinson's
Mm-hmm.
is, and how it, you talked about how it manifested with you,
Yeah.
but can you give us a little bit of a background on
Yeah.
the disease itself?
So it's the second most common neurological disorder behind Alzheimer's disease. There's 1 million people in the U.S. that have it. 90,000 are diagnosed a year. And it has to deal with the body's inability to produce dopamine. And when you don't produce dopamine, that's when you end up with the movement disorders, which is any part of your body will move abnormally. But it also affects the autonomic nervous system, which is everything that you don't think about: blinking, swallowing, breathing, urination, defecation. So it affects all of that, your blood pressure. But it's all comes down to the fact that we just don't make enough dopamine. By the time you see a tremor in somebody, you've lost 60 to 80% of your dopamine.
Wow. Wow.
So, and treatment is dopamine replacement.
So talk to us about when you got the diagnosis. And did you get the diagnosis in El Paso or?
They were suspected in April. They were pretty confident I had it, but nobody wanted me to have it. So I had to wait for what's called a DAT scan, D-A-T. And that's a nuclear study where the nuclear isotope is picked up by the brain and they take an image. So that one was done right before I went to.
So is it an MRI, the image, or is it a PET scan? Or?
I think it's a CT scan.
Okay, CT scan.
I'm pretty sure it's a CT scan with a nucleotide. And so that was like in end of June, early July, and I was going to go to Universe. And so right before I went to Universe, the scan came back consistent with Parkinson's disease.
Interesting.
So that was in El Paso. I called Ann, and Ann said, go find Brandon, Drew
Brennan.
Yeah.
Drew Brennan. And he said, well, now we know what to do. So
You know how his familiarity with it?
he's telling me the Rockstar Boxing.
Well, that and because his wife Jordan worked on a huge Parkinson study group, research group.
I know she was involved.
Yeah.
So at that point, I was in training mode. So I got a job to do. We got to finish the job. So I was very much into just getting through the season, competing as best I could. And it just kept coming back. You're doing great, Christine. You look great. Oh, feel good. Well, you look great. Keep going. So we just kind of finished out the year. And then turn around and get my pro card. So,
Who knew?
Parkinson's Pro.
And inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Yes, and inducted into the Hall of Fame as well.
What a year.
Yeah.
And we missed one little detail, maybe not such a little detail, but you got remarried.
I did.
Yeah. And so where does that fall in the timeline?
So I got divorced. And the reason why I went back into bodybuilding is because you have to look good naked. Yeah.
I love it.
That's exactly why I went back into it. So I went into the gym and started working out, and I started competing. And then my counselor, which was my kids' counselors as well, said, Christine, you need to leave El Paso because you've got a lot of trauma from your last marriage, and it was very cultural to the culture we have here. So my son asked me for his 17th birthday that he wanted me to go online. And so he wrote my profile and it was like midnight of his 17th birthday, and Matt was the third guy I met online.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
On what dating app?
Meant to be.
Elite Singles.
Elite Singles. Okay. All right.
But he only had a 50-mile radius. I did not have a radius. So he lived in California, I lived in El Paso, and we met.
And then he moved to El Paso.
Yeah.
That's
3
wild.
3 years ago.
Wow.
But it was interesting because he asked me to marry him multiple times. And it was my daughter who said, Mom, you're not marrying Matt because of Dad. And that's not right. And I said, are you all ready to get married? Because I told Matt, I come as a group,
Yeah.
which included my mom and dad, my kids, their significant others, and 12 rescue dogs.
Wow. you have 12 dogs.
I have
That's a lot of
12
dogs.
rescues.
Okay.
Not to include the reptiles. We have about 10 reptiles that are rescues as well.
Wow. Your house must be an interesting place.
It is. My son's other passion is animal rescue.
That's wild. That is wild.
Yeah.
So how long ago did you meet Matt then? 5 years ago? 6 years ago?
You said 8.
We started dating in 2017. So yeah, almost 8 years ago.
And you said something about the culture in El Paso. So
Yes.
El Paso is very
85% Hispanic.
yeah. That's what I just want people to
Right.
understand who don't live there. But and El Paso is an interesting place because it's a small small
Yes.
town. I guess is what I would say. It's really like everybody kind of knows everybody, and
They do.
it's bigger in the sense that it's not like a small little rural community, but it's small.
Is you can ask Matt. They recognize him.
Yeah.
You married to Dr. Brandl? And he goes, why do they recognize you? I go, look at you. You're like a big Russian walking around El Paso. It's not hard to pick you out.
don't blend.
You don't blend in.
Well, I'm sure you're walking around with 3,000 people whom you delivered.
Yes.
You're pretty well known in your community, I'm sure.
Well, and then my dad, too. My
Yeah.
dad's got a very nice reputation in town.
Yeah. That would make it hard. That's interesting how you do. And when you met him, then he lived in California.
He did. And so we went back and forth for 5 years. And then he moved. Initially, I was going to go to California, but I told him
You're just part of the community.
Your whole
there,
family.
well,
too.
and I have my parents and my brother.
Yeah.
So my parents are in their 80s, doing great, still live on their own. My
You want to be there. You want to be
well,
close to them.
I'm the one that's going to have to take care of them. There's just no way about it. I've got to take care of them.
And the way you phrase that is not correct, which is you're not the one that has to take care of them. You're going to get
Yes.
to take care
Yeah.
of them.
Well-
And I know that's going to be something you're going to.
Well, we've already bought a house with a casita in the back that's handicapped. I'm ready.
Are the 12 dogs and how many reptiles are they allowed to migrate over to the casita?
Well, my son lives there with his girlfriend right now, so the reptiles are over there plus the 5 big dogs.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. No, but my parents know that they're
They're moving into a zoo.
Right. Well, how ironic! I buy a home that's already handicapped accessible.
Wow.
Even the main house and the casita. They're
When
both.
you say ironic, was it not on purpose then?
No, well, the casita was for my parents.
Yeah.
But the fact that I would eventually probably need some assistance, I need a disability home as my disease progresses. So I'm like, oh, there we go. We don't have to move.
Wow.
Yeah.
That comes full circle, and I'll tell you, timing couldn't be better because
Yes.
I want to really pick this up in chapter 2 of Dr. Christine Brandl, IFBB Bikini Pro, because this has been. I mean, I thought we might take half of this episode, but your history, I mean, I could actually spend several days talking to you about your history because there's so many little nuggets about that. But we'll get into in the next episode. We're going to start talking about what attracted you to bodybuilding, and we're going to really focus on that aspect of it and what ultimately culminated in you becoming a IFBB Bikini Pro, and then
hard to
the
believe.
plans for the future. So let's do a checkout word.
I'll say motivated.
All right.
Nice.
All right. I
See
like
how
that.
fun it is, like the
Yes.
check-in versus check-out, and just kind of how the energy shifts, right?
It does. It does. It absolutely does.
And Christine, I don't know if, I would assume that contacting you is finding Dr. Christine Brandl and OBGYN extraordinaire
If people want to know
Yeah.
more about your journey, can they contact you on Instagram?
Yes,
or?
I'm on. My name's backwards. Brandl
Christine.
_ Christine.
Perfect.
And I think, let's see, motivated. I love that checkout word. And I think if you're listening to this and you're not motivated, then you maybe need to listen again. And you can use that motivation to like, comment, subscribe, and leave your reviews and help us bring you people like Christine, which is a tremendous human
Gift.
being. Yeah, it's a
Yes.
gift. Honestly, it's a gift to be here with you today. I can't wait for part 2. And
Yeah.
I think we just give people the 3 Bs.
Be good to yourself.
Be good to each other.
And be
Be
safe.
safe. Take care,
Love
everybody.
it.
Thank you for tuning in to FitBody Lifestyle. We hope today's episode has left you feeling motivated and equipped to tackle your fitness goals, business challenges, and the daily dance of life. Remember to value progress over perfection. Life's tough enough alone. Find the chosen family around you to help you along the way.
If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite streaming platform. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at FitBody Fusion.